With 2024 now behind us, it's time to ready ourselves for the storm that will be 2025. I figured it would be a good idea to check out and maybe even remind ourselves as to what we can expect in the video game industry, but mostly focusing on Nintendo for today since all eyes have been on Nintendo lately in regards to talking about the Switch 2, of course. Now, I've been keeping up with the latest news and a lot of the rumors about the Switch 2 specs and additional buttons on the system and what potential games we could see released on launch for it. But before we get into any of that, I want to discuss some of the software that we'll be releasing toward the beginning of the year. What's up guys, Tactics here with another video for you. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. It's been pretty rough on my end with all the buying of gifts and gift wrapping and dealing with my own day job as well. Like, it's really been kicking my ass. But now that things are slowly winding down for me, I want to get back into talking about video games with you guys. So with that, let's not waste any more time and kick things off, starting with the month of January. Now, Nintendo announced a ton of games for 2024, but they did leave us with a little to nibble on at the start of the new year as well. One of their major announcements was the one with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Now, I've been out of the loop with many of the Donkey Kong games ever since I'd say Donkey Kong Country 64, which was a long time ago. A lot of people really love this series, and it's to be expected since it is a really good platformer, but I've said this plenty of times before about how I've really just wanted a new 3D Donkey Kong game, the same as 64. And it doesn't seem like we will ever get that with how Nintendo has been treating the series lately with a lot of remasters and other things like that. Do I think it's still possible though to get a new 3D style DK game on the Switch? Well, yes, perhaps there will be some hope with the Switch 2 in the near future. Right after the day Donkey Kong Country Return HD comes out, we get another remaster coming to the Switch, being Tales of Graces F. Now this is the one that I was most excited for the month. I've talked about it before in other videos, but Graces has probably one of my favorite battle systems in the Tales series. Obviously, I'm not going to go into major details since I've already kind of covered it before, but it is without a doubt a game I will have the pleasure of revisiting again, and now I get to have it on the go thanks to the Switch. Now, another game that I think needs to be brought to attention would be Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero. We saw this game in a previous Nintendo Direct a couple of months ago, and I actually think it will be a very interesting tactical RPG. It has that Disgaea sort of look to it. I definitely want to try this game out when it drops as well in January. Now, before we move on to February, I want to go over a little bit about Pokemon Legends ZA as well as Game Freak in general. I don't really expect to see this game in the first half of 2025. In fact, I have a bit of a prediction that I will make a bit toward the end of the video, so I hope you will stick around to see what that might be if you're interested. Anyways, I think we will be getting another Pokemon Present though, somewhere between January and maybe February. And we'll get a bunch of updates on Pokemon stuff as usual. Pokemon has pretty much dipped their toes in so many different genres at this point, so you know we'll get our merch, spin-offs maybe, and some other little gimmicky things that Game Freak has been working on and likes to show off to us. But mostly, we'll get to see more of Legends ZA since the last time they barely showed us anything at all. Plus, we'll get a little bit of gameplay maybe, and a true reveal of the 3 starters for the region as well. And before we move on, if there's anything that I might have missed or something that you guys might be interested in or excited for that I don't mention in this video, be sure to let me know what that is in the comments below. Alright, now for February, we get a few games for the Switch such as the latest Civilization game, so for anyone who enjoys these types of world building games will have fun with that one. And then there's this other Phantom Breaker Battleground Ultimate game. I haven't really kept up with this one, so I don't really know much about it. I just sort of found it out of the blue as I was searching for some information, but it's another game for anyone who is familiar with it and might be excited for it as well. Then we get the big one for all the Legend of Hero fans out there. We get Trails Through Daybreak 2. I still haven't finished the first one unfortunately, but still I can't wait for this game to drop. I will be getting it on day 1, so hopefully maybe I can finish Daybreak 1 before this one comes out. And I wanted to give an honorable mention to Monster Hunter Wilds. Even though this game doesn't really come out for the Switch, I still wanted to bring it up here because it is a pretty huge game for a lot of people, including myself. And I will be picking this one up as well on day 1. I mean, after all, this will be my very first Monster Hunter game that I'll be playing, so I'm really excited for this one. Hopefully, this will actually get me into the series as well. So far, there hasn't been an announcement or mention of a Switch version, but maybe it is something that will be announced for Switch 2 sometime in the foreseeable future. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, will we see some legit news about the Switch 2 between maybe sometime like January to March? This is just my guess, and I'm gonna just say no. And of course, I could be dead wrong on this, and honestly, I hope that I am. I think the sooner we learn more about the Switch 2 officially, in my opinion, the better. I just don't think it's happening until Nintendo finishes up their lineup for the fiscal year. I just don't see a reason why Nintendo has to rush to announce the Switch 2 because of the success alone of the Switch. But for now, let's just move on to March and April. Now the first game or games to highlight would be Suikoden 1 and 2. We'll be getting remasters for both with some improvements and quality of life features added to them, making them much more appealing to the modern audience. Later in the month, we'll be seeing Atelier Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories, and the Envision Land come to the Switch, just like with the Ryza series. And I think Yumiya will have a much better chance of success having a Switch port alongside a release for Xbox and the PlayStation systems. The combat system looks pretty intuitive if you combine it with the alchemy system. There even looks like there's some form of base building mechanic in the game as well. It could be just a way to renovate your home, making it more spacious to put stuff in and add other facilities to your alchemy workshop. Either way, I'm really looking forward to checking this game out for the first time, and who knows, if Yumiya is able to knock me off my feet, I may go back and try the Ryza series and get swept away between those thighs. Another game I wanted to mention is Ruin Factory Guardians of Ozma. This is that super laid back chill game that I will most likely be dedicating a good fraction of my life to just because of how these kinds of games leave it up to the player when it comes to pacing and just progressing through the story. You can spend time base building up your village, your home, socializing with the locals, and even risen up your favorite character. Hell, you can go out and fight monsters and level yourself up if you're looking for a different kind of action. Either way, it's up to you when you want to continue the story. So you can bet it will be a game I will be talking about when it releases sometime in the spring. And since this was one of the games that Nintendo announced through the Partner Showcase and the Indie Direct, I am going to put this somewhere between like March and April because I don't think there's an actual release date for it just yet. Now from here on out will mostly be predictions and a little bit of theory crafting. I think there is a small chance for some kind of direct from Nintendo, whether it's a normal direct or a mini direct, or maybe even just a Partner Showcase. I just don't think we'll see anything Switch related until after March. I think we will get an announcement about the Switch 2 somewhere, maybe like on Twitter from Nintendo, and then they'll give us a date on when they will reveal the system. I'm thinking sometime maybe late spring to early summer, like around maybe E3 time. Now, I could be wrong on all of this and we could see it much earlier. Now this might sound a bit crazy to a lot of people, but I don't think we'll have the Switch 2 in our hands until around holiday season of 2025. And I'm thinking Pokemon Legends ZA will be their holiday as well as the Switch 2's launch title. And my reasons for saying this is because, well, in order to have a successful launch, the Switch 2 still does need that selling point and also a good lineup of games that'll be coming out soon after. And what better game than Pokemon if it's not going to be Mario or Zelda? I am pretty convinced that Legend ZA is a game that is slated for 2025, and I think a lot of people would probably agree with me on that one. Plus, we also know that since we just had Tears of the Kingdom not too long ago, not to mention Breath of the Wild was the selling point for the Switch, I don't really think that a Zelda game will be the launch title for the Switch 2. And the only other kind of game that I can see really getting those numbers that Nintendo wants to see at launch would probably be a Mario, like a really big Mario title, like a 3D Mario game, of course. But for some reason, I feel like Nintendo might want to try to save Mario for like 2026 for some reason. I don't know why I get that feeling, but I think that they might try to wait till 2026 before they give us a big 3D Mario game. A lot of people might be upset by this because you might be asking yourself then, like, what does Nintendo intend to do for the remainder of the year after March then? Well, believe it or not, I think we will see more obscure IPs finally getting a little bit of love. Smaller, less known IPs of Nintendo will have a chance to come out, such as Metroid with the new Metroid Prime game. Again, call me crazy, but I just don't think Metroid is the game you want to have showcasing the new system. And please don't come at my throat for saying that. I think Metroid is a fantastic series and deserves all the recognition that it gets from its new entry. But I just don't think it's the type of game that will drive sales for the new system. As for other games, I think we will still get more games from like third-party titles and even more indie games as well to kind of fill in those gaps until around holiday, or at least close to holiday season. Like, in order to sustain the longevity of the Switch 2's lifespan, they need to spread out their first-party releases a little bit. I do think we'll get some great games for the starting lineup though for the Switch 2, but it will be coupled with the usual indie titles and the third-party developers filling in the gaps between the first-party releases. So your big 3D Mario games, the Mario Karts and Zelda, I don't think we'll see any of these. If we don't see them at the beginning of the launch of the Switch 2, I don't expect to see anything of these games very soon. Maybe glimpses of them, but don't expect to see them come out at launch of the system. But that's just my take on the lineup for 2025. But what are your thoughts regarding the Switch 2's launch date, or hell, even the official announcement of the Switch 2? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, there you have it guys. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed anything in the video, be sure to hit that like button for me and maybe even subscribe for more content like this if you're feeling even more generous. I'm really curious to see what 2025 has in store for us, especially when it comes to Nintendo being all secret and crap as they usually are. Either way, I appreciate it all the same guys, and with that, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.